Greetings YouTube, this is Sybil Silver Phoenix yet again, and in this video I would like to talk about witchcraft. Witchcraft is not a religion, it is a practice. It is simply a tool, like a hammer. A hammer can be misused, it can be used inappropriately, but its main function is to build, to construct, and even to break down and separate. Witchcraft is about transformation. It is about changing yourself, as well as changing the world around you. You do that by manipulating energy. You channel it, you redirect it to flow in the desired direction. Yes, it can be misused and it can be abused. But remember this phrase, guns don't kill people, people kill people. And my point for that phrase is this. It is up to the individual's own morals and values as to what they will do with the energy once they start to channel it. Hopefully, said person or said individuals will use it for the greater good, and they will not be tempted to use it for greed, lust, wrath, and envy. Also remember the law of three. Now, I personally don't believe that if you do something bad, three bad things are going to happen to you, but I do believe that you reap what you sow. You get what you give. And if you want to give out bad energy, you're going to get bad energy in return. So remember that. As for witchcraft in the Bible, research history, learn ancient Hebrew, learn ancient Greek. The Hebrew word that appears in the verse, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live," does not mean witch. It means poisoner. So if you want to romanticize that word, it would mean assassin. So the verse would read then as, "Thou shalt not suffer an assassin to live," which actually makes a lot more sense in my opinion. Because you're dealing with a murderer, someone who willingly and knowingly takes the life of another through insidious and deceptive means. The Greek word pharmakeia, I think that's how you pronounce it, appears in the New Testament and is often mistranslated as witchcraft. Now it is obvious that this is where we get our modern word pharmacy from. So, we have an understanding of what this Greek word truly means. It's speaking of medicine, and back then the only meds they had were herbal remedies. And some of these remedies involved toxic plants, or the practitioner would misidentify an herb and use the wrong one unknowingly in the remedy, and this would unknowingly and unwittingly poison the person that they were trying to heal, or for whatever effect they were trying to do. There is a fear today of doctors. Not everybody is afraid of doctors, but there's some people who just, they don't trust doctors. Now the truth was the same back then. You had individuals who feared those who could heal. If you could heal, then most likely you knew how to do harm. Caution is one thing, paranoia is another. Paranoia is an unhealthy obsession and is really an annoyance all around. The reason the word witchcraft appears in the Bible is a lengthy history, starting with the advent of Black Death sweeping through Europe, first during the reign of Justinian, the emperor of the Byzantium Empire. In the mid to late 6th century, it continued to roll around Europe until the mid 8th century, and then would pop up periodically until the 14th and 15th centuries, when it finally went back east. In its wake, it destroyed at least half of the population of Europe. There's some people who believe that it was about 60%. Some who'd say a little bit more. I'd go with more between the 50 and 60%. I would say are the more reasonable numbers there. But, you know, imagine what that would be like. You wake up tomorrow and 4 out of the 10 people that you know are dead, or 5 out of the 10 people that you know are dead. Could you imagine that? Can you imagine many of your loved ones, many of your friends, they're not here anymore? They've all been claimed by this horrid and relentless pestilence. How would you feel? I wouldn't be happy, that's for sure. In fact, I'd be a little bit frustrated and upset and wondering why, you know, considering that was a time when Christianity was the norm, and they didn't understand pathogens. They didn't know what that was talking about. These people were scared and they felt vulnerable and they were frustrated and they felt unprotected. They felt like God had abandoned them, that they were being punished by the divine for, you know, some great sin or for their sins. So they were looking for someone or something to blame. And since Christianity had been spread by the Roman Empire through much of Europe, they blamed the devil. The devil became the primary scapegoat. But with the devil being the scapegoat, the devil is an unseen and intangible enemy. And how can you retaliate against such a foe? You can't. So there were those who went after the so-called devil worshippers, after the minions of Satan, after the tools of Satan. The Inquisition was afoot. The church looked into it, and it went out to search and find these helpers of the devil. First, it was the Jews. Now, the Jews were said to have taken pouches of poison and poured them into the wells, thus poisoning a village. Well, the thing that most of the Christians at the time didn't understand is that Jews were dying just as quickly and rapidly and in as many numbers as the Christians were. So why would the Jews poison themselves? They didn't stop and think about that. After the Jews, that was the old men and the old women who used folk medicine remedies, the herbalists, the midwives, and then it was the heretics, those who did not follow the church-approved doctrine. Now, if there were any pagans left at this time, they'd have to have really, really hidden more than what they did before, or they just have to leave, get out of there. At least they'd be discovered, tortured, and then killed in this church-approved slaughter that we call the burning times. It was in this time of upheaval and church domination that the words witch and witchcraft became part of the language, part of the common language. The negative connotations surrounding these words are pervasive and tenacious.